Okay, folks, the trailer for Godzilla King of Monsters just dropped from Comicon, and I'm going to do a review slash breakdown of it. So let's jump into it. It's phenomenal. The trailer, if you haven't seen, well, obviously see it first, but the trailer is just absolutely phenomenal. And so we start with Millie Bobby Brown. Looks like she's on some sort of military installation. You can see the POW flag here, POW flag. Vera Farmiga is doing a voiceover, pretending the doom of humanity due to our environmental destruction. And that is, of course, a staple of kaiju films. The kaiju film or the kaiju itself as a replacement, a metaphor for nature's wrath against the way we've treated it. And I think it's a part of the kaiju genre that you really have to have in there. It's kind of a center point of these types of films. So I'm glad that they're not running away from that. And I'd have to say that the particle effects, the dynamics and stuff in this film look pretty top notch. Of course, you have to destroy the company logos at some point in these trailers. I think that they're actually setting Vera Farmiga up with the way her voiceover is set up to be kind of maybe the mad scientist who unleashes some sort of catastrophe on humanity because we've been messing up the planet. But I think it's a bit of a misdirection. I'll get into that later as to why. And then from this point on, the music in the trailer actually takes on a kind of a contemplate or a triumphant, grandiose kind of tone, which is very at odds to what Vera Farmiga's character is saying and a lot of the visuals we're seeing. So it'll be interesting to see what tone the final film has, how much of it's going to be doom and gloom and how much of it is going to be triumphant. So, and here is some great look at an underwater city of some kind, underwater temple. Now, if you've seen the latest Gamera films, you'll know that the city of Atlantis plays quite a large part in those films, and I don't know if this is Atlantis or not, but it's another staple of kaiju films is having the submarine creeping through the depths and coming upon something, either a creature or some kind of relic from the past, which is something I just love about kaiju films. There's Ken Watanabe reprising his role. Great to see that he's back. Here we see the kind of cave painting iconography that was in the, for example, the cutscene at the end of the King Kong film, and we see the big G here. It looks like he's being worshipped or praised or something. And this is another phenomenal scene here. When you see this, I believe, although it's probably either the submarine, like a very, very large submarine, but probably the prow of a ship or something. But obviously the big G has presented himself, and he is ready to unleash some atomic breath here. Again, these are the types of images that in this trailer that I've always wanted to see in these types of films. And it looks like, at least in this trailer, they're hitting all the beats. If you want to see a Godzilla film, these are the things that you want to see in a Godzilla film. Thomas Middleditch from Silicon Valley, so surprising to see him here. It's probably going to be some kind of comic relief, I would imagine. Sally Hawkins reprises her role as Ken Watanabe's assistant. Glad to see that her success recently with Shape of Water did not make her too expensive to appear in the film. Hope she gets more to do in this film than she did in the last one. Here's another great iconic shot. So obviously King Ghidorah embedded in ice. Again, another image from kaiju films that I always loved is a creature embedded in the ice that's been hibernating for thousands or millions of years. Because just like the image of the submarine creeping through the depths and coming across a creature, the ancient glaciers and ice flows are another place on Earth where our current science has not entirely revealed everything. So those two places, the depths of the ocean and deep inside an ancient block of ice, would be the places where you could possibly still come across some amazing thing. And it's types of things like this that, especially as a kid, just really ignited my imagination. I'm glad to see that they're hitting all these beats here. Some destruction of San Francisco, possibly left over from the last film. Who knows? Okay, so definitely looking quite a bit like Mothra's egg. Although these tendrils here coming off the sides could possibly be electrical cables or something. Maybe they're warming it up. So this whole sequence here, again, with her reaching out, and now we see here with this head. Now, it's probably Mothra, but it certainly does not look like the quintessential Mothra that we know. There's no antennae. Mothra has really gigantic compound eyes. This one has teeny tiny ones. There's also this chitinous plating. This almost looks like a baby Gamera or something. So I've heard rumors that there's more than just the big four creatures in this movie. So I don't know if that would be it, but I would imagine this is probably just Mothra in some kind of pupal stage when she first comes out. But this scene here, this whole sequence, shows that they're going for kind of the whole feeling of like Jurassic Park when you first see the Brachiosaurus in this all of its glory. It looks like they're going for that kind of vibe in these scenes. And here we go. The big G comes out. He's already got his spine set up. There's Ji Zhang, so surprising to see her here. But then again, Legendary's definitely been courting the Asian market, especially the Chinese market. They've got the Japanese market in the bag because it's their film, their series. But I'm sure she's here partially to draw in a Chinese audience. It's always good to see her. She's a great actress. This is a great reveal of the Big G, and I'm glad that even in the trailer, you get to see a fairly good representation of him. He's shrouded in darkness and water, but it's still a pretty good look at him and stuff. Probably better than we've seen in the original, the first American film by Legendary. And here is it's Kyle Chandler. I'm surprised to see him here. He's I saw him last in Game Night. He was in Friday Night Lights. He's more of a comedic actor, so I'm surprised to see him here. But and then this is a great Godzilla. The Big G just lets his atomic breath rip straight directly into the heavens. And this image I saw leaked earlier in the week, and I don't know, is he trying to knock Rodan or Ghidra out of the sky? We don't know. But one thing I have to say though, if you find out that all the tuna in the oceans are missing, it's not from overfishing. It's because the Big G has been he's been eaten like a king. Talk about the king of monsters. Only thing, like I said, he's not very svelte. And I know that they're going for more of the look of the original suit. But, in proportion here, that's kind of a potbelly. and the spines need to be a little bit bigger. But that's kind of a minor quirk. Hopefully it won't be as noticeable in the final film. And this is a phenomenal reveal of Mothra spreading her wings here. It's obviously Mothra because you can see the moth eyes on the wings there. And again, the music swelling. Just a great reveal. Like I said, it looks like they're alternating between two tones, which is kind of an ominous end of the world kind of tone, and then this hopeful, majestic reveal of these phenomenal creatures, which I think could be a really, really good thing for the film. So, all right, here's where I think they're doing a little bit of misdirection. It looks from this sequence that Vera Farmiga is setting off some kind of apocalypse, and I think that they're actually here's the first reveal of Rodan. But anyway, back to the other point. I'll show you in the next couple scenes why I think they're doing a little misdirect and making her out to look like the villain. But so here we have Rodan. First shot of him in the trailer. He's actually in quite a bit of the trailer, and I'm surprised. This could be like a very large bomber or some kind of plane, but in relation to how big Rodan is, that looks pretty darn big. It could also could that be a Muto or something? The wings are very, very straight, but other than that, the size of this in relation to Rodan, it would have to be a phenomenally large airship to be human-made. But I've seen some images of Rodan, and sculpts of Rodan and leaked online, and he looks phenomenal. Here is with the iconic, again, everything that they're doing with these creatures, with these kaiju, is exactly what fans of these films would want to see. So this is Rodan leaving his iconic wake of destruction as he just flies over cities. He's so big, his wingspan and the way his wings work, it leaves behind a shockwave that just decimates everything behind it. And you'll see in several shots here that, Rodan is definitely causing a lot of collateral damage. And this, I believe, has got to be none other than King Ghidorah's lightning attack. It has the iconic golden hue to it. I'm glad that they're keeping that. I can't see it being anything else other than King Ghidorah's lightning blast hitting it, attacking people. And here we see, they're dropping in a little bit of the human drama element. Another common feature of kaiju films is you have a family in some kind of disarray, some kind of dysfunction, and the kaiju event ends up bringing them all together. And so obviously, in a lot of the shots, these are obviously her parents, and one of these kids is her. So there's another kid who's apparently not shown, so maybe there's some sort of family tragedy involved. But I would imagine that's what they're going to do. So you got to have a little bit of family drama in there to keep the audience, going in between the kaiju attacks. And I think Millie Bobby Brown looks like she's really throwing herself into this part in a lot of these shots. Now this looks... Let's go back here a little bit. Okay, this, again, looks like... There's several more shots here in the last part of the trailer that look like they are in some kind of underground city, forgotten city. It's probably the same city we saw the submarines going through. So this is obviously some underground cave. Now, is this a man-made blast? It does not look kaiju created, so we'll see where that leads. And this is a phenomenal shot of Rodan going over Washington, D.C. that's been completely flattened and decimated. I know there's a lot of people that would love to see Washington, D.C. flattened and decimated in real life, but it looks like Rodan's done it for us. But again, I think what they're doing here is, it looks to me like the kaiju are kind of like not evil or good. They're just doing their thing, and if you happen to be in their way, bad day for you. Although it looks like from these tracer fire that the humans are trying to take Rodan out. And it also looks like not all of this destruction is created by her. It looks like there's a series of tornadoes forming in the background that have done a lot of the work for her. And then these look to be U.S. Army planes or something. Okay, so here Millie Bobby Brown is addressing someone. She calls them a monster. In the next shot, it's Vera Farmiga, who's probably her mom, and she says, "I'm sorry." And I think this is a bit of a misdirect because the lighting and stuff is different. I think that you'll see who the real monster is later on that I think Millie Bobby Brown is addressing. And this, I'm pretty sure, is Ghidorah, because that head does not look big enough to be Godzilla's, and the ridges and stuff do not seem to be his. That, I'm pretty sure, is Ghidorah when he first gets out of his ice cavern and starts stalking people around. So it's great to see one thing that they can do in these films that they couldn't do in the earlier Godzilla films made in Japan is put the human beings right up directly against the monsters, because, everything with the suitimation, it's much harder to do, the compositing, make it look good. But this, you're able to put the people right there next to the creatures. So Ji Zhang here, looks like she has cut her hair, so I don't know what's happened there. This maybe is towards the end of the film or something. Here we have this, I'm pretty sure, is Rodan. It could be Ghidorah, but again, it looks like if you are a fighter pilot and you just happen to across this kaiju, you're in for a bad day. I think this is very interesting here. Again, this has got to be Rodan's wings. That he has this perpetually kind of burning flame jutting off of his wings with a kind of a wave of destruction trailing behind him. It's very different from the style of Rodan in the past. And I think that's what's going to cause a lot of the collateral damage that Rodan causes throughout the film. Here we go. Here's another great reveal. So we got obviously King Ghidorah. Nothing else looks like King Ghidorah here. The necks do not look very long, but we'll see how long his neck is. But just from this reveal, it looks absolutely phenomenal, very foreboding. Seeing these characters on the screen, using the ILM style, the biggest effects budget that the world can produce, it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. In an IMAX screen or something like that, it'll be great. So there we go, Charles Dance giving an iconic line, and he's the one that I really think is going to be the end bad guy that Millie Bobby Brown is addressing. And I mean, he's Tywin Lannister. He's got to be a bad guy. But also, isn't it great that we've got Charles Dance, Vera Farmiga, we've got Ken Watanabe, all these like some really big actors in a kaiju film, in a genre film, and I'm so glad that Legendary is treating this material with respect. They're treating the audience with respect. They're taking it seriously. They're not making it a kids film. They're not making it goofy or funny. They're trying to ground it in some kind of reality, and I think it's going to be all the better for it. That was a really great shot of Rodan just launching himself straight in the air. The other thing is, again, these kaiju, the things that they're able to do because they're CGI. I mean, I'm going to miss the suitimation. I love the suitimation, but they're so dynamic. They can do just so many dynamic things. It's wonderful. And again, there's Ken and Watanabe again. Now, Ken, it doesn't look like he's going to have... Oops. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to have much to do. He doesn't have a single line in the trailer, so I don't know if he's only in a small part. That would be a big missed opportunity. I mean, Godzilla is a Japanese franchise. You got to have the Japanese scientist be one of the main characters. This part here, again, they're going back to the triumphant kind of feel. You can see, I think this has got to be Mothra doing her iconic rebirth. So, Mothra tends to kind of like die in every film and get reborn. And the heavenly glow of this light is too brilliant and godly to be kind of a atom bomb blast or atomic blast. This has got to be Mothra rebirthing herself. And then this shot here, the way Millie Bobby Brown is looking off to the side, it's almost as though she's seeing a friend, like, a knowing smile on her face that doesn't look like the look of desperation. That looks like, you go get him, girl kind of look. And here we go. We got the final shot here, the big G, and he's surrounded by this squadron of fighter jets. And you'll notice they're not attacking him. They're flying past him as though they're the vanguard for his attack. So I would imagine that by this point in the film, humans and kaiju have found their common enemy, which would probably be Ghidorah. But let's just watch this one shot here. Looks great. There you go, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. It looks absolutely phenomenal. The last film by Gareth Edwards was actually, I actually enjoyed it, but it was a big missed opportunity. There was some good elements to it, but it just waited too long between the kaiju attacks and stuff, and it kept cutting away. I think this film is going to address a lot of those issues. I just can't see how you could have all this stuff in this film and have it be boring. Just from this trailer alone, I just can't see this being anything but an absolute dream for people who love this genre of film and these classic iconic characters. This is just going to be the destroy all monsters of our generation. So I think it's going to be great. Let's see here. May 2019. So I have to do everything in my power to make sure that I do not die between now and May 2019, because I have to see this movie in the biggest, here we go, IMAX, real 3D IMAX. I'm going to see in the biggest theater with the biggest sound system possible. All right, so I will see you at the movies, and hope you enjoy that.